In India, millions of people are mourning the death of one of the country's most iconic singers. Lata Mangeshkar has died at the age of 92 after being hospitalized due to a COVID-19 infection last month. Known as the Nightingale of India, Mangeshkar's lilting voice dominated the airwaves for decades. The Bollywood superstar received dozens of movie awards and sang more than 15,000 songs in her career. India's Home Ministry has declared 2 days of national mourning. Flags around the country are flying at half-mast. Our Delhi Bureau Chief Amrita Chima is covering this for us. Amrita, what are the reactions in India to the news?
Then the reaction to Lata Mangeshkar's death are huge. The president said he was heartbroken when he heard the news of her demise. The prime minister came out and said she was a blessing to humanity. Television stations and radio stations have wall-to-wall coverage about Lata Mangeshkar's death. They're replaying her old interviews. They're playing her music. People are paying tributes. Social media is full of that. Some of the most moving tributes, Ben, are coming from the Bollywood fraternity, especially musicians who she so inspired. And she was very fond of cricket. So the cricket team here is also mourning her loss. And they're all wearing, members of the cricket team, black bands in memory to Lata Mangeshkar. So there's a huge reaction. It's fair to say the whole nation is mourning the loss of what India describes as the nightingale of the country.
And abroad as well, that voice is just absolutely amazing. Tell us more about the significance of Lata Mangeshkar for Indian music and cinema.
You know, she started singing when she was 5 years old, and she was trained in classical music. But Lata Mangeshkar looked down on Bollywood music till she had her first hit, and that was in 1949. She was just 20 years old. And after that, there was no looking back. She sang for over half a century, some 30,000 songs in almost 40 languages. And she lent her voice to some of Bollywood's most glamorous film stars, but she herself remained very austere in her lifestyle. Now, the thing is that playback singers remained quite faceless before Lata Mangeshkar came on the scene. And she worked very hard to get recognition for the playback industry, in which she was the most dominant voice. Now, she had a whole range of music that she sang apart from Bollywood: sad songs, happy songs, religious songs, and one of her most iconic songs was about patriotism. She sang and paid tribute to the soldiers of India who died in the 1962 war. And when she sang that song, the Prime Minister of India at that time, Nehru, was in tears. She won practically every award in the country, the highest civilian award. So people really, she's leaving behind such a huge void because she was such a dominant voice in the Indian music industry that this void will not be filled easily.
Just briefly, how do you feel, Amrita? You grew up with this music and hearing that voice.
Actually, not just me, Ben. I think practically there's no one in India who doesn't know Lata Mangeshkar and her music. And as I was mentioning this song that I told you about paying tribute to Indian soldiers, it brought not just the Prime Minister to tears. When I was listening to this song this morning, I was in tears as well.
Amrita Chima for us in Delhi. Thank you very much for bringing us the latest on that story.
I'm joined now by DW correspondent Nimisha Jaiswal. Nimisha, what have reactions in India been to the news of her death?
One writer poignantly wrote that Lata Mangeshkar provided the soundtrack for our lives. Her music covered 8 decades, and this is definitely a good reason why across India now many Indians are remembering her fondly.
Yeah, such an icon in India. But for people around the world who may not have heard of her, tell us about the significance of Lata Mangeshkar for Indian music and cinema.
Well, Rebecca, she's mainly recognized as a playback singer, so she's sang for the music tracks that we often see in Bollywood movies, where the pictures are of the actors and actresses, but the voices are of singers like Lata Mangeshkar. But many of those remembering her today find even that title reductive because she is remembered as the Nightingale of India. She sang from the young age of 13 to provide support to her family and sang in over 40 languages. She won many national awards and as well as film awards, and she was actually one of the people who fought for the institution of those film awards, because playback singers were not given that amount of respect when she first came into the industry. She also broke into a male-dominated industry and is now one of the most well-recognized voices in Indian cinema and in Indian singing. I would like to close out by talking about how one famed poet remembered her. He said, if you take all the fragrance, all the moonlight, all the honey in the universe and put them together, you would still not create a voice like hers. And this is how India remembers Lata Mangeshkar.
That is beautiful. Such a sad day for India. DW Nimesha Jaiswal in Delhi. Thanks very much.